Welcome back to the Small Business Show. I'm your host, Lori Brooks. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. This week, I had the absolute pleasure of chatting with Dr. Stephen Jones. Dr. Jones, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Lori. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It is a pleasure to have you back on the show. You are a guest from the original podcast, the Technology Equals Equality podcast, and way back when we had the opportunity to really talk about the start of your journey. So for this episode, being that you are a new guest on the Small Business with Lori Brooks show, I'd love to go ahead and kind of take a moment to just kind of do a quick rewind for the audience that may not have had the opportunity to hear your first episode. So I want to go back to the days of junior high or high school when an aunt and uncle or even a mentor would have asked you what it is you wanted to be, Dr. Jones, when you grew up.
That's a great question, because some people say in their lives that they can't find out what they want to do with the rest of their life until they're 20, 30, or 40. But I was a teenager and so engaged in my community that I found my love. I found my love for helping young people, for developing leadership in young people. I found my love for education. And so early on, I just had some experiences in my life that led me to say, hey, I want to go to college, but then I want to do something in the lives of our young people that are in our community and even our adult learners, because a lot of times even adult learners who are going back to school don't know how to be successful with that. And that's kind of my mission in life at the same time.
What do you feel some of those experiences were?
Well, we had an organization called the Young Great Society. And that was an organization that really focused on how can we help. There were a lot of gang wars in Philadelphia. That's where I grew up, West Philadelphia. There was a lot of gang wars. So the whole idea was to reduce the amount of gang wars and the crimes that were happening in the city by having organizations that give young people an alternative. And so for me, that alternative was the education component, plus I played Little League football. And that was exciting thing to do. But I love the fact that the organization still kept education as a top priority. You couldn't play if you weren't performing well in school. And I thought that was great accountability for my future. And carry that with me wherever I went, whether I was in high school or college. Even in playing a sport, I'm a scholar athlete. I'm not just an athlete. I'm looking at the importance of being a scholar. And plus, I was the first person out of 6 children in my family to even go to college. So there was a lot for me to learn, but I know that there were those who were coming behind me who were going to be in the same situation. And even today, those are some of the students that I'm helping right now.
Now, you mentioned accountability and how that really played into your journey. How do you feel you made sure to foster the accountability throughout your own journey as you moved on from that organization?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is important for any student at any age is to have mentors. And so I found individuals in my community. When I went to school, I always had a couple of teachers that were my mentors. When I went to college, I had an advisor. I didn't just go to college and go to my advisor just for putting my classes together. I went to see the advisor for other kinds of things. In fact, when my advisor asked me, are you going to graduate school? I said, what is that? And they're like, well, don't you want to get a master's degree or doc? I said, I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I don't know what it is. And so just having those mentors to give you advice, to give you so that you can save energy and time on some things. And that's been a wonderful part of my growth. But I think the key is not thinking that you're the smartest person in the room, that you always need other people to help you. And I realized that early on. I always need somebody. And even at the age that I am now, I'm always asking my students for advice. I'm asking them to help me with my technology. I'm always asking them as well, because I want to keep up with what's happening in their lives, working with them.
And I love how you mentioned that you want to know what it is that you don't know. Because realistically, there's a lot of things in our journey that we don't know know. And
Yeah.
so it's important to have that community around you, have those mentors who can point those pieces out, because they're pieces that can really elude you because you have no idea that you don't know.
Yeah.
You were the first person in your family to have the opportunity to go to college. So you didn't know that you didn't know there was another step beyond
Mhm.
those 4 years, beyond that first degree, until someone mentioned it to you. So
Mm.
it's important to really surround yourself with that
Yeah.
community. And I speak a lot about that community and making sure that you find those people within your community. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a live person. So there were multiple points throughout my own journey where I would look for mentors in the media. So not necessarily in the newspaper, but maybe through a YouTube video, through a TED talk, through motivational speech that someone may have given at a
Mhm.
graduation ceremony. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about surrounding yourself with the right sort of community, but it's up to you to take the steps to go about finding those people and finding that community that's really going to support your journey. So I would love
Absolutely.
to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the other things that I did, I attended summer programs, high school, and actually middle school. I attended some summer programs, whether it was we actually went to Cheney University one year for several weeks, and we lived on the campus and ate with the students and so forth. We had other kinds of summer programs in the community playground. So those are growth opportunities by having experiences on campus during the summer. I just wanted to mention it because we're in a season right now where parents are looking for things for their students. And unfortunately, a lot of them are online right now, but I'm sure they're going to get back to having them on campus at some point. But I think it's a great growth opportunity for your child to be involved in.
Mhm. I did a number of summer programs myself when I was younger, leadership programs and things of that sort. And I don't necessarily think it's specific to which program. So I wouldn't say go out there and seek out a specific. It's really about the engagement. It's really about keeping yourself engaged in a community, keeping yourself active and focused on a goal. So, as long as whatever the community or activity is that you're involved in or seek out is focused on that end goal, that's the one for you. So,
Yes.
yeah, no, I think that there are a number of different things that you can get involved in outside of school, throughout the
Mhm.
school year, throughout the year, outside of the school year, that can foster an entrepreneurial journey. So, what do you feel would be some of the first steps you would suggest to an aspiring entrepreneur for them to begin taking in their journey?
Well, I think really it's important to have individuals that you kind of brainstorm your ideas with, someone that
Mhm.
you feel safe, let me put it this way, safe with, that you can share your ideas. You don't want them stealing your ideas, but someone, it could be a parent, it could be another entrepreneur, but someone that you feel safe with to share those ideas and creativity with, because they could help you have a better launching pad. And I want to share a resource that's available that a lot of people aren't aware of. The Small Business Administration has webinars and seminars online for
Yeah.
individuals to take, and they are wonderful. And they're free. So
Hmm.
look at their colleges in your area, in your state that have small business offices, and they will offer these wonderful, wonderful opportunities to learn about marketing and, you know, publicizing your business, starting your business, business plan, all those things they provide. I would encourage everyone out there listening to look those small business opportunities up on the campuses as well. And eventually, I'm sure they'll have them where you could come in, sit down, and listen face to face. But right now, they're mostly online.
Dr. Jones, I thank you so much. That is an excellent resource. And it's something I don't think to mention, but that truly was one of the first steps I took in my journey.
Mm.
Going to the SBA and asking for help. And that really was one of the things. And even to this day, I myself would do refreshers and check out some of their webinars every now and then because they have excellent content. You're right. So be sure to check that out. Thank you for that tidbit and that reminder. Because see,
Mhm.
this is why you have to surround yourself with that community, people. So you never know where that
Absolutely.
moment's going to come from. You really
Yes.
don't. So please share with us where you are in your journey today. I know that you are over at Villanova, but I know there are a couple of books
Oh,
that have
yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
passed as
Thank
well.
you
So
so
please
much.
share. Of course.
So I'm working at Villanova University for the last 16 years, but I'm working in higher education for at least 35 years. One of the things that I found when I was the first person to go to college is I really didn't totally know how to study. And then I started working with those same students at the college level. And I said I would write a book. Well, I started writing pages, and then I started a company. And next thing you know, I was writing books. So I wrote a book called 7 Secrets of How to Study for middle school, high school, and college students. I wrote a book for the parents. How do I help my child do well in school? I read a scholarship book to help them find the money. There's over $90 billion in scholarships, and half of it goes back every year unused. So my book has 100 scholarship websites that you can take advantage of to get started. I've also written a book on how to study the Bible, and I wrote another book on the 10 keys to a successful marriage. From my 34 years of marriage, I try to share that experience.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And the book that I'm writing right now is a journal. It's one of those journals you see in the bookstore. Like, they're not too big, but it's going to be a 365-day journal using some spiritual guidance and, my perspective, things that you need to be doing on a daily basis. And it's a journal, so you get those statements, but you also get to write in it. And I think wonderful ways to kind of collect your thoughts and say, what was I thinking on this date 5 years ago or 2 years ago? And you open that book up and it reminds you of the kind of things that you were doing. And so I'm doing that. And I also have online courses now. So that's exciting that students can actually take online courses with the study skills and the parents book and the scholarship book.
Nice. Excellent. I love that. And I thank you so much because you wrapped up the evolution of your journey in like 30 seconds. I don't know how you do it. I thought I was the queen of simplifying things, but you always amaze me with it. You have accomplished so much. But I really appreciate how you mentioned that it was the start with the notes. You started writing things down, and then you started a business, and then you started writing your book and recognized that's what you had birthed. And it's funny how that evolution occurs. I, much like 2 or 3 other consultants that I know, started jotting notes on our journeys long
Yes.
ago. And then eventually, now we've also published books. It's funny how that journey evolves. It's not something where you sit down and you say, this is what I'm going to do 100% necessarily. It's birthed without you witnessing the birth sometimes. It's birthed in the background of your journey without you paying very much attention to it. So it's beautiful how you expressed all of that so very quickly. And that you had started with the notes, you started the business, then you started writing the books. Now you've gone on to coaching and consulting, and you've been in the educational field for so many years, but it wasn't just the education field. You went on to write a book about life as well, and how it is you've been capable of succeeding there as well. So again, you didn't set out in life or in your marriage and say, I'm going to write a book about how you can maintain a marriage for 35 years. That's not how it happens, people.
Yeah.
That's not it. It's the ability to reflect that allows you to progress. And without taking a moment to stop and reflect on your journey, reflect on where you've been, reflect on what it is you've done and what you were thinking, you can't progress. So I love how you wrap that all up to then state that your next step is to then release a journal for everyone else to have the blessings of really stopping and reflecting on their journey as well. So that's outstanding. I thank you, thank you so much for that. And I look forward to the journal coming out. I can't wait to see that come out. And please be sure to share a link so that we can also share that with the audience.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking also is that if someone was asking me, they didn't know where to start or how to get started. And I said, sometimes it means you have two books inside of you. And you're battling where to start. And I say, just start. Just start. Just start. Just take one of them and start. And
just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And page a day. You're making progress.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll find that you wrote two books at once, and now you need to separate those two books. So you never know. It happens.
Yes.
It happens. It is what it is. If you had the ability to go back, say 10, 15 years and tell yourself just one thing, what do you think that would be?
Wow, what a good question. I think if I had the opportunity to go back, I probably would have done this earlier. I probably, because I had an opportunity to, I've been working with these students all along. We had a book called The Master Student that was about 400 pages of how to study. And I kept using it and using it. And I could have written my own and had it available to the students. So doing that soon, I think that I would have encouraged more of my students to go to graduate school. And I would have spent more time. And I found out about how to pay for graduate school. And now I can tell the students that you can go to graduate school for free. And I would have been sending even more of them to graduate school. But the interesting thing now is that the students that I served at Drexel University are now bringing me their children to Villanova University in my STEM programs and enrolling in the university. So it's been awesome to see the next generation.
That's outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. I love when you have the ability to witness that inspiration and that change that you've been capable of initiating. So congrats to you and all that you have had the ability to truly accomplish. If you had the ability to change anything at all, say we had that magic wand from way back in the Technology Equals Equality podcast. Unfortunately, the audience has yet to create the time machine. We will get there one day, Dr. Jones. We'll get there. But if you had a magic wand and could change anything at all in your practice at this point, what do you think that would be?
I think that sometimes I'm so busy. I would like to mentor more people, but having the capacity to do that. So I would like to have mentored more people along the way. But I do that through, now I'm writing and podcasting and doing those things to get some additional advice. And then from the business side, like we talked about earlier, I would have started spending more time with the Small Business Administration. And then here we have an entrepreneurship center and just attending more of those as well, so that you don't have to go through the challenges. You can learn from someone and grow your business. And I think it's great now that you have all these webinars and things that you can learn from.
Years ago, there were not webinars. There was no web. So the barriers to entry and entrepreneurship have been lowered dramatically. The opportunities that are available and the rapid nature with which somebody can jump into a journey and actually see progress and success has gone from so long to months, weeks, years at times. So times have changed. Technology has created equality. So we are here, we're moving forward. And Dr. Jones, I thank you so very much for joining us once again and sharing your journey. Please share the best way that our viewers can reach you.
Okay, so you can go to my website, which is that's Dr. Jones, Jones, books, BOOKS.com. I'm on Instagram at ed_central. And then you can always find me on Facebook. Just put in Dr. Stephen Jones, and my name is spelled S-T-E-P-H-E-N. I have a couple of business pages and web pages there. And also check me out on LinkedIn. I have a lot of information there as well. And if you want to hear about the podcast, send me a request and I'll send you the links for that as well.
Awesome. Please, and share the link with me, and I will be sure to include that link on the show notes page as well, so everyone can check out the podcast. And please be sure to shout out the title of your podcast once again.
Okay, so the podcast, one of them is STEM Forward, and the other one is Education Central.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll put links to both of those on the show notes page. Dr. Jones, thank you once again. We truly appreciate you sharing your journey and your time.
Thank you, Lori. I really appreciate it. You've been so kind to have me on your program.